Hey folks, thanks for tuning in. Elk Talk, right? I remembered my call today. Anyhow, here we are. Week number 10 of Hunt Elk every year. Last week when we did it, New Mexico was behind us. Before that, Montana's behind us. Before that, Arizona and Wyoming. So what we got left, we're getting down to just a few states if you want to put in for a limited entry elk hunt. You've got, let's see, Colorado that's due April 3rd. You got Nevada April 16th. You got Oregon on May 15th and Idaho, I think June 1st or 2nd, something like that. And if you don't draw on any of the past states or the current states ahead of us, we're still going to talk about what the leftover options and over-the-counter options will be. So that's the idea today. And last week I asked all of you, think hard about Colorado questions, because the next Tuesday is Colorado's deadline. So we want to talk a lot of Colorado tonight. But before we do that, we want to talk about who makes Elk Talk Live possible. Bowtech, Loophole. All right, man, how stupid. I got a Loophole shirt on. I got the gold ring on my sleeve right here. You see that? But I had the logo. I'm sorry, Loophole. Loophole Optics, Onyx Maps, who gives you 20% off any app products if you use promo code Randy. Tight Spot Quivers, Ripcord Arrow Rest, Black Gold Sights, GoHunt.com, who will give you $50 of free store credit if you sign up using Randy, R-A-N-D-Y, as the promo code for their insider service. And then Rocky Mountain Hunting Calls, right here. And if you want to get notified of these things, text Randy, R-A-N-D-Y, to 77453. And with that out of the way, it's time for serious questions. All right, Josh Keller says, I'm 22 years old. What state would you recommend a 22-year-old start gaining points in? I would say it depends on what your budget is, but the two states I'd look at is Arizona and Wyoming. And the reason I say that is if all you are interested in is just elk, not any other species, you're never going to go bird hunting, you don't want to hunt coos deer or apply for anything else, just elk, Wyoming is the cheapest points. If you want something where you're going to have all kinds of opportunities to hunt so many other things, from birds to rabbits to javelina to deer and bighorn sheep, well, if you draw, antelope if you draw, there's all kinds of other opportunity. And you want the expectation that after anywhere from 5 to 6, 7 years, you'll draw a tag in one of these, not the super premium tags in Arizona, but you're pretty much guaranteed you're going to draw one of those late rifle tags in 5 to 7 years. Those are the two states I'd be looking at. Depends on what you're wanting to do, but those are the ones I'd look at. Randy, how do you keep your boots dry and find weather updates in the backcountry? Well, you keep your boots dry. Kenetrek Boots has this wax. It's a wax-based product that you put on your boots on the outside. And we've done a video out on our YouTube channel about how we do it. We even took another video that we shot out at the Kenetrek headquarters where the man, Wyatt, showed us how he does it. So leather boots, it's all about proper care. So that's how we do it. How do we get weather updates? A lot of times we don't, but now I have this new InReach device. I've never had one before, but I have one now. And you can get weather updates. Randy, did you ever get the bull scored from Colorado where you did the video, Don't Shoot an Elk Here? If so, what did it score? No, I never did get it scored. I've never had one of my elk officially scored. So it's just, I know, I've had some pronghorn scored and some deer scored, but never had an elk scored. Not of mine anyhow. Oh, let's see. Randy, what region of the state of Colorado gives good opportunity for glassing? I hunted near ski resorts and the lodge poles were so thick, the furthest I could see is about 200 yards. I've hunted lots and lots of areas in Colorado where there's really good glassing. Man, I've hunted way up in the northwest corner by Rangeley. I've hunted the central part by Empire. I've hunted around Carbondale. I've hunted over by Paonia. Every one of them, if I climbed to a knob or got to the right slopes or faces or canyons, I had really good glassing area in all of them. So I don't know that it's so much a unit specific for good glassing as it is the type of terrain that you're hunting in. So I'd just try to find some different terrain and go with that. Let's see. Jeff wants to know if we want to come to Nebraska. I don't know if Nebraska lets non-residents apply for the elk tags, but maybe they do. Chris, hi from Saskatchewan. I know Saskatchewan doesn't let non-residents, at least not non-resident Americans, apply for their elk tags. What? Everyone's picking on us Americans down here. Can't go to Canada. Maybe not Nebraska. I know North and South Dakota you won't let me apply. Dang, my feelings are hurt. No, not really. All right, Michael, you chime in whenever you can read some of these because they're scrolling by so fast. I'm having to hit the down button to stop them.
This one isn't Colorado based, but a couple people have asked, is Nevada worth their weight and how many?
Oh,
and also another person asked how many points.
A couple people have asked about Nevada, which Nevada is coming up after Colorado, so let's talk about it. April 16th is Nevada. And their question is it worth it? And how many points does it take? Well, it's worth it if you have the budget. And the reason I say that is you have to buy the non-refundable license. By the time you get done doing all the applications, you're going to be $160 or $70 every year into building just an elk point in Nevada. So if you're going to do that, also build points for deer, for antelope, for desert bighorn, for California bighorn. Get more value out of the investment you're making. How many points does it take? That depends. Nevada, and we're going to talk about the Nevada system once the Colorado system's behind us, or draw date's behind us. But Nevada has a bonus point system, and they square bonus points. So having a low number of points really puts you at a disadvantage. It's not like Colorado where it's a true preference point system. So Colorado, you can kind of predict what year you're going to draw. There is this thing called point creep where sometimes each year you just can't, you get a point, but the unit you're applying for takes 1 or 2 more points the following year. So they call it creep. It creeps away from you. You never creep up on it. But in Colorado, in a preference point system, if you have the most points, you're going to get a tag before anyone else. If you have, let's say there's still some tags left at the 10-point level and you have 10, you might get a tag, but let's say all the tags are gone by the time they get to the 8-point level. Nobody with 8 points or less is going to get a tag. That's how a preference point system works. So understand that Colorado is a true preference point system. Wyoming is a preference point system. The bonus point states would be Nevada, Utah, Montana, Arizona. New Mexico and Idaho don't have a point system. I'm sure I'm probably missing a few there, but that's why it's hard to answer the question of how many points will it take in Nevada, because it's a bonus point system. It's like buying raffle tickets. So you may or may not draw with low points, and some people with high points. Some years they don't draw also. So, let's see. All right, Josh said thanks. That was helpful. Good to hear. Tyler, so someone asked this, and then Tyler chimed in. What type of game bags do I use? I use the synthetic game bags by Caribou Game Bags, and Tyler said, hey, I got my first set of Caribou Game Bags. Hope that I get them dirty this year. I hope you do also. The reason I use a really good synthetic game bag like Caribou Game Bags is, one, they're reusable. You can use them for years and years and years. You just take them home, rinse them, wash them good. They breathe really well because they're made of synthetic, and they're super strong. If you've ever used some of those cheesecloth type game bags, put weight in them and all of a sudden the mesh gets really big, the squares, and a fly can go in there and lay eggs on there easily, ruin your meat. And some people say, well, I use cotton, I use old sheets or pillowcases. In really arid climates, yeah, that's probably going to be fine. You get a place where it's damp, cotton doesn't wick moisture like the synthetics do. So in damp places or even high humidity places, you could end up with meat spoilage if you're in there for a long time by using cotton game bags versus synthetics. So that's the explanation of why I use the really good synthetic game bags. Someone asked, how many points do you need to draw a tag in Utah? There is no how many, because it's half the tags are on what's called they call it a bonus tag. It goes to the person with the most points. The other half of the tags go to use just a bonus point system. So again, remember, bonus point systems are like raffle tickets. So it's hard to say how many points it's going to take to draw in Utah, because I drew elk with 4 points and I drew a really cool limited entry archery deer tag with 5 points. And there were people way above me in both pools who didn't draw. So, all right, how's tax season going? It's just about done. Hey Randy, in Colorado, you prefer BLM land or Forest Service land? Yes, whichever one seems like the thing to do. Doesn't matter. It's where the elk are, and that's going to be driven by what season I am. Remember, I always talk about early season, pre-rut, peak rut, post-rut, late season. They're going to be in different areas. Usually the Forest Service is the higher ground. The BLM is the lower ground. Not always, but usually. And so earlier in the season, you're going to be hunting more national forest. Later in the season, it's possible that you'll end up hunting more BLM land. So Ricky says, if I draw one of the first tags in Wisconsin this year, you're invited. Wow, that's cool. A Packer fan would invite a Vikings fan on an elk hunt. All right, now that you know I'm a Vikings fan, you have 10 seconds to retract that offer. Let's see. Do you use, what's that? Do I use elk scents like a cow in heat? No, I've talked about this many times. I think all of those scent, cover up, stink free, whatever you want to call it, they're a waste of money. If you're elk hunting, you're going to be moving. And you're going to be sweating. There's just, until they figure out a way to not have scent come out of your nose, your mouth, your ears, your scalp, everything else, it's a waste of money. Save your money, buy tags, buy other important gear. For elk hunting anyhow, don't waste the money on all those funky scents. They don't do you any good. So, how do I pick an over-the-counter unit in Colorado? That's a good question. And since Colorado is what we're talking about today, I go out to the Colorado Parks and Wildlife website, or I go to my Go Hunt system. I actually go to Go Hunt because it's way easier to do this sorting. But if you're willing to go and dig through layers and layers of stuff on the Colorado website, you can do that. But Go Hunt, you can just go and sort and say, all right, I want over-the-counter units. Will show up as 100% draw odds. It'll give me the harvest statistics for each unit, and it will give me the percentage of public versus private land. So I'm looking for the over-the-counter units that have above average harvest rates, and I want those units that, where I don't want to mix this up here, but I want some, I want plenty of public land, but I don't need all public land. Okay, because I'm really good with my OnX system. So some people say, I want 90% public land. Well, that's gonna limit you to units. You know, just, oh, well, there's only 4 units that meet 90% public land. I want 50% or better. So when I do my filtering on the Filter 2.0 system that they have on Go Hunt, I just set that, okay, I want, there's these slider bars. You can say, filter at this, filter at that, filter at that, find them, shoom, it pops them up. And there are the units I'm looking at. So that's how I do it. But if you want to, you can spend the time out on the Colorado Parks and Wildlife website, digging it out, downloading all the PDF files, comparing everything, kind of making your own charts and spreadsheets, and that's a way to do it. So, all right. Ron asks, Randy, I know you use 125 grain broadhead, but is that based on total arrow weight or just broadhead preference? It's to get my total arrow weight a little more, and the broadhead preference. If you think of FOC, front of center calculations, it helps with some of that, having a little bit more out there, but that gets into, you know, pretty technical side of all this. And I know a lot of guys who use 100 grain and they kill more elk than I do. So it is personal preference, but my personal preference is to shoot a heavier setup, and that's why I go to 125. So let's see. Number one tip you would give someone who's a first-time do-it-yourself over-the-counter archery elk hunter in Colorado Unit 70. Yes, expect a lot of pressure, but don't get frustrated by that. When you are getting frustrated, your mind starts saying, oh, this isn't going to work. You're looking for weather or full moon or something about, oh, this is why. If it wasn't the full moon, this would work. Have the mindset that this is going to be tough. You're not going to close the deal on every encounter. You might go 3 days without an encounter, but you're there chasing, bugling elk, and that is fun. So have the mindset that it's going to be a lot of work. And when you expect it to be a lot of work, you just look at it differently. If all of a sudden an easy setup comes your way, it's like, oh man, what a bonus. So to me, the number one thing would be, it's all about your mental state of mind. So Robert Moore says, I'm 70 years old and I can walk about 2 to 3 miles. I'm looking at Unit 62. How's the area? The area is really thick with oak brush, and it's got a lot of canyons. There are a lot of roads going out onto all the finger canyons or trails on the ridges that create the canyons. The success rates, it's about average for an over-the-counter unit. I've not hunted it myself. I've hunted near there. I've driven through it, and I have some friends who've hunted it, and they told me how thick the brush was and how hard of hunting. I hunted nearby there, and yes, the oak brush is really, really thick. So, let's see. Do you still scout and glass when you're familiar with the area? Oh yes, I do. I glass all the time, and I'm scouting all the time I can. Unfortunately for us, the problem can be that we end up going, so here's like a season. In September we got 3 hunts. We got a travel day, 5 days of hunting, a travel day, 5 days of hunting, travel day, 5 days of hunting. We don't get a lot of time to scout. So a lot of times we are scouting on this computer, using OnX, using every resource we can. And when we get there, we've done this series of e-scouting videos of how I do it. When I get there, I got to have 10 spots in mind for a 5-day hunt. I want to have 2 spots that I can kind of cross off each day or decide that I'm going to go back to one of those days. So I'm scouting while I'm out there hunting. I'm scouting. Before I get there on my computer, I'm scouting. So even if I'm familiar with an area, I am scouting. It's rare that we get to show up a day early to scout, but if we can, we work as hard on that scouting day as we do on a hunting day. Let's see, Ryan asked, do you base your application decisions on the ruggedness of terrain? Or would you if you were a new hunter? I do sometimes, because I know there's going to be fewer people there. I know the likelihood is on these heavily pressured public land areas, there's going to be more elk in the rugged spot and fewer people. So yeah, sometimes that does drive my application strategy. It certainly drives my hunting strategy when I'm out there. Let's see, have I ever applied for Pennsylvania? No, I've not. Let's see. On Dr. Ricky's saying that a Viking, the guy, the cheesehead who invited me on the elk hunt said, only Dr. Phil can help you if you're a Viking fan, but you're still invited. All right. When can you buy your over-the-counter Colorado elk tag? Right now. You can buy it online. You can go on your application, you can apply for a limited entry hunt, and if there's a box that says, if unsuccessful, sell me an over-the-counter elk tag. Or you can do it anytime between now and when you go out there hunting. And even when you do go out there, if season's open, You can't buy your over-the-counter tag at, say, a sporting goods store, but you can still go get one at a game and fish, or they call it there, a parks and wildlife office. So, can I spill the beans on about the new Howa rifles yet? Nope, I can't. I'm sorry. Darn it. A lot of people ask about that stuff. What is the ABC equation? I don't know. Is this like geometry or something? Like a squared plus b squared equals c squared? Man, you stumped me on that one. Do you know how much your Howa 308 rifle weighs? Yeah, I do, Rob. When I put everything together, my Leupold VX6 or VX5, I have one with a VX6, one with a VX5. Add that when it's fully loaded with 3 rounds of ammo, I'm pushing like 7.5 pounds, somewhere in there. And some people would say, oh, that's still pretty heavy. That's pretty light to me. Oh, Randy, do you have any public events coming up? Nick asked this. Yes, I do. Let's see. I'm going to be at the Rocky Mountain Bighorn Society in Denver, Colorado, April, whatever the last weekend in April is, that Friday and Saturday. Tickets for sale. Go to Rocky Mountain Bighorn Society. They'll sell you a ticket. You can be there. And then I'm going to be the MC of the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation banquet here in the Gallatin Valley on April 7th. And then I'm going to be in Boise at the Backcountry Hunters and Anglers April 12th, 13th, and 14th, I believe. And then I'm taking my wife walleye fishing for the summer. So. Let's see. Are we hunting Colorado this year? We're not sure. It depends on if we draw any tags. Maybe we will, but I'm low on the point scale for pretty much everything I applied for. I'm applying for units where if I go to my Go Hunt filtering system, it's like, okay, with my point level, you got like a 12% chance of drawing. So odds are I'm probably not going to go, but if I draw, it'd be pretty cool. So let's see.
How about archery elk hunting? Are you running 8 or 10 power binos?
Archery elk hunting. Am I using 8 or 10 power binos? I'm using 8 powers when I'm archery hunting. 10 powers when I'm rifle hunting. If I had to just pick one or the other, I'd probably go with 8 powers. Just because for the same objective lens, same angle, you're going to get a little bit wider field of view. And when you get old like me and you start getting tremors and stuff, 10 powers, when you hold them up there, every little shake makes a difference. If you're using 10 powers, put them on a tripod, you'll be surprised how much better, or even 8 powers, you'd be surprised how much better you can see, how just the stabilization, it slows you down. I mean, Leupold, all right. I've been using their prototype, so I can't say which ones they are because that slipped out on my website the other day. And I'm like, oops, I wasn't supposed to say that. So let's just say the new 10x42 Leupold BX- fill in the blank, are amazing. And so you put those on a tripod, and it's just unbelievable how effective you can be glassing, whether it's 8 or 10 power. So, let's see. Yeah, someone warned this other guy, don't tell Randy you're getting married in September, you're going to get teased. Yeah. Randy, should I be nervous to hunt near a trail that is open to dirt bikes but not open to ATVs? Will there be lots of pressure with dirt bikers? It depends, but if dirt biking is popular there and it's a weekend activity, elk aren't going to hang around dirt bikes. It's just every study. And when I say this, a lot of people think I'm making a political statement on motorized travel. I'm not. Every study out there that's ever been done says that elk like to be at least a mile from motorized trails and roads. So if you move the road in further or the motorized trail in further, guess what? Elk move just that much further away. So that's why I avoid them. I actually use them as a hunting technique. If I know that basin over there has a motorized trail, and I don't care if it's dirt bikes, ATVs, a road, whatever, I go 1 or 2 or however many basins away that don't have roads, doesn't have trails, because I know that's where the elk are going to be. It's nothing political or personal. It's just I want to be where the elk are. So let's see. While glassing post rut, and you know the elk are in the area, but you're not finding any movement due to the bedding, etc., are there any areas you look for that are a common area to find bedded bulls? Yep. I sit there and I keep looking at the same places and the same places, because sometimes during the day they're going to get up to go to the bathroom. They might nibble a little bit of feed and they're going to go sit down. They'll get up a little bit, just before they're ready to get up for the evening and do their thing. Maybe an hour before, they'll get up. I just keep glassing. And as far as an area, it just depends. I can think of so many different topographies, geographies, so many different vegetation types. It's hard to say where they're going to be. You can almost bet that they're going to want one of the flatter spots in a steeper slope. They just like to bed on flatter ground. They want great escape routes so that if someone's coming in, and they will set their bedding areas up where the prevailing wind is in their favor or the thermal is going to be in their favor. So usually they're going to want to bed someplace that in the midday when the thermal is coming uphill, they're going to be up above where they think danger might come from. That way they're going to smell it through the thermal. The thermal's rising in the day. They're going to smell it, and they got an exit route where they're just out and around the corner, or they're off the other side or whatever. Those are the kind of places where they bed year after year after year. And they know that if they pick the right bed, the odds of you sneaking up on them are really tough. So I look for those spots where, in my mind, all right, if I'm an elk, does this give me all the things I'm looking for in a bed? Is it flatter? And it doesn't have to be a big area. It might be a pretty steep slope with just a bench that's 10, 12 feet across. They'll bed there. But they also want an escape route, and they want to be able to position themselves so that the wind or any noise, a lot of times they'll bed where if you were going to come after them, you got to go across a big slope of scree. Well, if you've ever tried to ski across, I call it skiing because you're sliding the whole time you're walking across there, a scree slope, you're going to scare everything away. You just can't do it quietly. So they know these places, and that's where they set up in their bedding areas, and that's the places I'm looking and I'm glassing. And I know how many times I've glassed, I'm like, nothing there. Keep doing it all day. 4 hours later, it's like, where did he come from? I'd looked at that same spot 10 times, and all of a sudden, there's a bull standing there. That's just how good they are at hiding. Let's see. Holy smokes, Michael. How are we going to get to all these?
Here's a good one. Colorado has muzzleloader season in the middle of bow season. What's your opinion on hunting during that time? I feel like the first shot goes off and it could shut things down.
Yeah, Colorado. So if you look at the Colorado archery seasons, it's usually from the last weekend in August, usually to the last weekend in September. It slides or moves a bit there. But right in the middle of that is a muzzleloader season in the rut. So you got archers and muzzleloader hunters in the woods at the same time in the same units. And the person asked, is that a waste of time if you're an archer? Are the elk just going to blow out of there? I wonder the same thing. I've never hunted Colorado in the archery season when a muzzleloader season's going on, so I can't speak to that firsthand. I know a lot of guys say, I will go there the week, and because there's usually 1 week of archery left after muzzleloader season ends, a lot of guys hunt that last week of archery season. But in my mind, I'd have a hard time going there while the muzzleloader hunters are in the woods. I'm like whoever asked the question, dang, it's, just seems tough. But maybe it doesn't matter. I don't know. Tell me a good rig for walleyes. Quentin, I'm not going to go there. We'd be here all day. Let's see. Hey, Michael, I'll let you answer this one. Brett wants to know, have we tried the Ascent gear, the new Ascent gear from Sitka?
Yeah, it's awesome. Especially when it's, for me, I'm a big sweaty dude. So.
Michael said it's awesome. He said, for me, I'm a big sweaty dude and I love it. So he was bragging on it all year last year when he was wearing it. So yeah, we like it. Let's see.
Is your scope set up in MOA or mill, and do you prefer one or the other?
Boy, that's a. Someone's asking if my scope is set up for MOA or mills, and they're talking about the dials, or you can get reticles and you can get etching in your reticles. For me, everybody knows it, and I've been talking about it, that I'm trying to remember when Leupold came out with this really simple system called the CDS custom dial system. It's as simple gets. For normal hunting ranges that I have, I've yet to find anything that simple and that effective. You give them your load data, they etch you a dial, you replace the existing dial on the top of your scope, put it on there, and you zero it. You tell them, yeah, I'm going to zero it at 100. So then the dial has notches of, okay, 200, 110, 20, 30, 40, every 10 yards. And you just turn it to whatever you range the distance to be, and off you go. I know some people are like, Randy, that just seems really complicated. No, it is. It is so easy. So that's what I use, and I'm trying to think when they came out with that. I think like 2010 or 11 is when I started using them, and the number of things that we use. Oh, here's a good one. This applies not just Colorado, a lot of places. Randy, what's the scoop with your green headlamp? All right. We know that ungulates have different rods and cones than we humans have, right? And the scientists tell us that these ungulates cannot see red light and they cannot see green light. So when I go in the morning, it's always dark. I have my green or red on. I prefer green for whatever reason. The light I get off a green lamp, I can see to do fine details better than red light. Some people say, oh, I like red light better. Don't go in with white light. They can see everything, okay? The elk are going to see you. They can see white light. Humans, and it's a bit of a safety factor also, if there's other hunters in the woods and it's kind of that low light period, right? Okay, shooting light starts at 7 o'clock, but sunrise isn't until 7:30. A lot of times people notice in the footage that I'm wearing that green lamp even into the daylight. Why? Because if there's a hunter in there and he hears us walking through the woods, I want him to see that green lamp. So green is one that humans can see, so hopefully I won't get shot. If I do, it's probably not an accident. And it's something that the animals can't see. So that's the idea behind that. Let's see. Jonathan says I have an elk hunting question. Well, that's what we're looking for, is elk hunting questions. I have a 308 Win with a 178 grain bullet. Should I look for a lighter bullet, a smaller caliber, possibly a different gun, or just go with the elk load when hunting antelope? There's an old saying, beware the guy who has one gun because he'll know how to use it. I wouldn't worry about it. I've shot antelope with my 300 Win mag using 180 grain bullets. I would just go with that and I'd let it rip. I wouldn't change a thing. So, oh boy. Trevor asks, over the counter, less hunters with lower success rate or more hunters with higher success rate? That's a good question. It depends on the experience you're looking for. I mean, most people want to be successful, but some people say, I'd rather deal with fewer hunters. Me, I go to the place with fewer hunters and lower success rates just because the quality of the experience means a lot to me rather than filling every tag. And I know that it's going to be a tougher gig, but I'm probably going to have those days, fewer of those days where I get frustrated by bumping into other hunters. So that's what I would do, but I understand if other people would do it differently. So, all right. Now remember, I hate to keep saying this because it's taken so long. I don't know I better not, I'll get sued if I say anything bad about law firms, right, Michael?
Correct.
But we have the attorneys trying to clear this legal hurdles for having a multi-state drawing. If you want to do it right, you technically got to jump through the hoops in every state. We're trying to do that, but there's a couple states that just are not cooperating. So, but if we do it, we're taking somebody elk hunting in Colorado in early September, archery elk hunting. We're going to try get you a Bowtech round and get it all set up. Yeah, so hopefully we can pull that off. But we want to talk about, again, the companies who make this possible: Bowtech, Leupold, Onyx Maps, Tight Spot, Ripcord, Black Gold, GoHunt.com, Rocky Mountain Hunting Calls, and us. And one of the ways, the reason I brought up the idea of the drawing is if we can get that put together, we're going to pull it from the people who are on the list to be notified about Elk Talk Live. And to be notified, text Randy to 77453. Another common question we've had, this is not Colorado elk hunting related, is when's the next episode going to be up on Amazon Prime? I hope in the next week. If Amazon would approve it, we've got some already there waiting for their approval. If you go to Amazon Prime, if you're an Amazon Prime subscriber, log in and type in Leupold's Fresh Tracks with Randy Newberg, and you're going to watch us for free. And if you don't have that, you can watch us on YouTube, and it's called Randy Newberg Hunter. It's just not as good of a viewing experience on YouTube as it is on Amazon. I mean, Amazon has really got it dialed in. So, let's see. No, Darren, I'm not asking that question or answering that question. Let's see. Tony asked, can you film a deer hunt near where your son's moose was taken? You know what? We could. I just have to go there and do it. And it's a beautiful spot. I just don't know what's going to be on our calendar this year. It's going to be a busy, busy year. I'm going to have to send Michael and Marcus out by themselves because I don't think I'm going to have enough time to do it all. And Michael's over there. Yeah, baby. Hey, Michael, is anything coming up on YouTube these days? For this
For the
stream? No,
Elk Talk?
for Elk Talk.
Nope.
YouTube and Facebook don't like each other, so if you're on one, you can't be on the other. I don't know what's going on there, but Tyler says, I watched how to quarter an elk with your gutless method. Thank you for that. Is it worth to take it one step further and debone the quarters? That depends. A lot of people ask me that. If it's not that far and it's mostly downhill, I like having the bone in from the standpoint of it just keeps all the meat rigid and it's just easier to handle. But if I'm going to be stuffing it in quarters when I get, or in coolers when I get to the trailhead, I'm going to have to bone it there anyhow. So usually I'll bone it up on the hillside. But it just depends on how close I am, if I'm worried about spoilage. In the wintertime, a lot of times I don't bone. I just take, hind quarter out with bone in. And if it's pretty far and taking bone out means you can probably cut one trip out of it. And if it's 4 miles out and 4 miles back in, yeah, I'm boning out. And I'm going to save myself one extra trip. So, let's see. Boy, there's a lot of them.
What would you say the youngest age a kid should be to take them on their first elk hunt?
What it should be the youngest age of a youth elk hunter that you should take a kid on a youth elk hunt. That depends on the child. You look at most states, legal hunting age is 12 or plus or minus. Some you can do mentoring. Some states don't have a legal hunting age. You just pass hunter ed and off you can go. Public land elk hunting is pretty tough. Whatever you do, take them on a hunt where they're going to have fun. Don't grind them. Don't take them up and down the mountain and wear them out where they say, I never want to do that again. Or don't take them out when it's 25 below and you're going to sit there and freeze your butt off all day. Whatever you do, whatever their age is, make the hunt appropriate for what their physical ability is. And eventually they'll get there. Whether they're one of those kids that matures young or matures a little later, know what that is and look at it and say, this, an 80-pound kid, I'm going to take them up this mountain and make them carry a 30-pound pack all day? No, you're asking for a wreck. Make it fun for them at whatever age. And sometimes maybe the first trip or two isn't going to be a real strenuous hunt. But look at it as an investment in your future hunting partners. And you're going to have way more fun, and you are going to end up with a future hunting partner. Brian asks, ever use a night vision spotting scope? Nope, they're illegal where I live here in Montana, so I don't own one. Montana's got a lot of rules, so if you come and hunt in Montana, read the regulation book. In fact, do that for every state. I go to Colorado. Every year, the first thing I do, I open up the regulations and they have the what's new for 2018. And there's always little tweaks and changes. I found out, I was in Nevada last weekend volunteering for the Wild Sheep Foundation and the Fraternity of the Desert Bighorn to do a water guzzler reconstruction. And the game and fish guys down there said, oh, Randy, guess what? In 2018, you're going to be able to hunt until a half hour after sunset. It used to be in Nevada, you could only hunt until sunset. Every other western state, you can hunt a half hour after sunset. Well, a lot of guys were going to Nevada, not reading the regulations, and they're hunting past closed shooting hours. Hopefully that's going to change now. They've told me that rule's getting changed. But the point of bringing all that up is think about all of these changes, all these regulations. When you go to these other states, it's just something you got to be paying attention to. Let's see. Eric said he just bought himself a brand new Howa 1500. Cool. I hope yours works. I'm sure it will work as good as mine have. I got a whole bunch of them. Let's see. Steve asks, when do I prefer to hunt, morning or evening? Both. I hunt all day long. He says, I'm more of a morning guy myself, feel like I'm missing out on some solid chances by hanging around camp with the gang in the evenings. Yeah, do not give up your evenings. No, please don't. You can hang out with that gang at camp when season's over. You can go over, invite them over to watch a football game, whatever. But when season is on, be there well before the sun comes up and be there until that last bit of shooting light. You're going to need a headlamp walking in, and you're going to need a headlamp walking out. So, yeah, I think you're missing out on some stuff there. You don't even want to know. Wade asks, how much do you spend on points and applications, etc.? For me, for Michael, for Marcus, for my son, for some of our guest hunters, I'm not going to say. Michael's over there chuckling because he knows how much it is. Yeah, it's not pretty. Jody asked, do you bugle or just cow call the first week of archery, or do I mix it up? I'm usually bugling to locate, and then I'll let them tell me if I want a cow call, but I'm usually bugling most of the time. Just you're going to see most of my stuff is I'm bugling. Oh, let's see. Can you use a crossbow for elk hunting? You would have to check each state's regulations. They all have different rules. Some say yes if. Some say, like Wyoming says, oh yeah, you can use a crossbow in archery season. Some states say it doesn't matter what, you can't, no matter, forget about it. Some say if you have a doctor's permission slip or doctor certification. So you just got to look at each state's regulations. Let's see, Brandon says, how excited are you for the BHA rendezvous? I'm pretty excited if we could get our film done. For the last month, we've been working on a film that we want to show there, but I think Michael and Marcus are about ready to just throw me out. Every time Marcus gets this thing polished up, I'm like, we got to change that. No, that doesn't make any sense. No, that piece doesn't fit. We got to move it over here. That's what we spent all day doing today, all day yesterday. Hopefully we'll have it ready, but I've made no promises to him that it'll be ready by then. So if it is ready, it's just going to be a bonus. Can I hunt on public lands? Zane asks this. Can I hunt on public lands that are leased by ranchers? Yes. And understand, I'm talking federal BLM lands and federal Forest Service lands. Now, as far as state trust lands, state land board lands, that depends on the state you're in. In Colorado, the answer is only with permission of that leaseholder. In Montana and some of the other states, yeah, you can hunt it if it's state land, but just about all federal lands I'm aware of, the answer is yes. State lands, it depends on the state that you're hunting. So, do you do a party tag application in Nevada? The only thing you can do party tag applications for in Nevada as a non-resident is deer. I don't think you can do party apps for any other species, so the only time I've ever done it is with deer. What's with all of the scent killer products? Tyler asks, I can't remember ever seeing you use any scent killer products. What gives? Well, Tyler, I just answered that question about 20 minutes ago. It's a waste of money. It's a joke. It's a great marketing scheme. That's what gives. I'm not giving them any of my money. All right, how long after a burn do you hunt an area? We ask this question a lot. We're going to be talking about it. We're going to do a whole series of videos on this kind of stuff with onX Maps. We usually hunt it the year after. If it's a spring burn, I might hunt it that fall, but usually I hunt it the next year. And then the next question people always ask is, how long will you hunt that burn for? I always hunt the freshest, newest burn in an area. So if there's a basin and there hasn't been a burn for 12 years, I'm still hunting the 12-year-old burn. It's going to be the best stuff. Now, if all of a sudden a burn comes in, I'm going to start hunting that new burn. I'm going to switch over. So it just depends, but I'll hunt it as soon as possible. Dick Ferguson wants to know when I'm coming home to Minnesota to ground swat some grouse. Boy, that's tempting. Those of you who know me, I got a serious grouse issue. I got a worse grouse issue than I think I got a Dairy Queen issue. Okay, someone just corrected me. You can do a party application in Nevada for cow elk also, not bull elk, but cow elk. So in addition to deer, you can do it for cow elk. Would you consider a 10 millimeter Glock as a decent bear sidearm? Andy, odds are it probably is. I don't use a sidearm when I'm hunting in grizzly bear country. And yesterday we recorded a podcast with Todd Orr. Those of you may have remembered in October of 2016, you might have seen a Facebook video of a guy who filmed himself as he had walked out and he'd been attacked by a bear. Next week, that podcast with Todd's going to go up. Todd lives here in Bozeman. I've known Todd for a while, and we finally got our calendars to match. And Todd's a handgun hunter, all right? He shot 28 elk with a handgun. And he's got some interesting thoughts about pepper spray and handguns in grizzly bear attacks. So he would be a better guy to answer your question about is a 10 millimeter a better option. I know he has one. Where did you get that deer behind you? Let's see, I'm not sure which one. This mule deer behind me I got here in southwest Montana. And then the whitetail that I got over there was about 2 miles away from where I shot the mule deer, both in southwest Montana. So this is an elk right here, right? Is anyone seeing a deer in the frame?
I'll give him the camera.
All right, okay, Michael's gonna move the camera so you can see the two deer I was talking about. But this elk here isn't mine. This is Marcus's elk here, so.
That's the elk, and then there's the deer.
All right, Michael, you got it?
You got it.
Okay, well, it didn't show up on the frame. Oh, it did.
Yeah, it just lags a little bit.
All right, okay, got it. Have I noticed any elevation effects on the age, class, and size of elk? Yep, I have. At least in our areas, the higher elevation, the older the bulls. The older the bull, usually the larger the size. And the reason that this is just my experience. The lower elevation bulls, not always, but often, are the younger bulls. They're still closer to cows. They're still trying to find their way. The older bulls have figured out, you know what, in highly pressured areas, I better have my act together. I better get far away. And far away is either a function of distance or topography, steepness. And they've figured out that the further up the mountain you can stay, the greater the likelihood you're not going to get shot. So I have seen a correlation. I don't think it has anything to do with vegetation or habitat. I think it has to do with elk vulnerability at lower elevations, which is a function of the resulting age class from harvest or not harvest. All right, what do you recommend to someone wanting to start hunting with a bow? Spencer asked this. First thing I do is I go down to a pro shop that carries Bowtech bows. That's what I use. They're great bows, and I would go to a pro shop. I wouldn't go to a big box store. Go to a pro shop, an archery pro shop. They will have the best gear. Those people are all archery hunters themselves. They live it, they eat it, they breathe it. Here in Bozeman, I go to a group out here, Big Sky Archery. Bill and Gabe and their employees are great. They're helpful, they're knowledgeable. You're gonna get the right setup. That's the first thing I would say is get the right gear, the right setup, the right poundage, right draw length, right arrow, right everything. And then you're gonna be a lot more capable, a lot more confident. And then just go out and try it, experiment, and have fun. Let's see. Chris asks, is a 1 to 2 acre fire considered a burn large enough to hunt elk? Or does it need to be larger? Larger is better, but I hunt some pretty small burns. I mean, like really small burns. So, if it's cleared the landscape, disrupted the canopy, put minerals and regenerated soil, you're going to have like a little ice cream parlor right there for elk. They're going to be there. They will find it, even if it's only a couple acres. Oh boy. Oh, what does it say? All right, where do we find out about burns? Scott asks. Onyx Maps has a burn layer on their app. So you go in, most of you probably have the Onyx system, right? It's on your phone. And go into your system and you can click one of the national layers is the burn area, current burns, and then there's another layer called historic burns, and it'll show you all of that. It's super, super helpful. And when you do that, save yourself 20% on any app products if you're buying new app products, and use promo code Randy and you'll save 20%. So no charge for that advice. Do I hunt burns as much for mule deer or just elk? Both those deer that Michael just put in the screen here, they were both shot. One was shot standing in a burn. The other one was shot, let's see, the head of that basin burned maybe 3 years before that. He wasn't in a burn, but I know he spent a lot of time in there. So I hunt, a whitetail and mule deer, shot them both in a burn. Michael, where did we shoot all those whitetails this year in eastern Montana?
Definitely
in a burn. What did we shoot? Three really nice whitetail bucks in a burn in 2 days in the same burn? Yeah. And you shot your mule deer in a burn?
Yep.
So yeah, we hunt deer in burns. Deer love a burn area, just like elk do. Randy, do you go to the gym and exercise in the off season? No, I'm driving a desk for a living this time of year. But if you want to go out to our Facebook page here, we did a Sitka travel train workwear video about how I train. Go watch it. It'll tell you what my hunting training mechanisms and calendar is. So Jameson asked, do you ever get a bear tag while elk hunting? Yep, I do. I always have a Montana bear tag in my pocket when I'm elk hunting. Let's see. Have I ever hunted California mule deer? No, I haven't. What is my opinion on hunters that hunt off of four-wheelers? If that's what they want to do, knock themselves out. I don't care how they hunt, as long as they follow the rules and do what they're supposed to do. Doesn't matter to me. they want to hunt from a vehicle, hunt from a four-wheeler, hunt from a horse, hike on a trail, all the same to me. I just know how I'm going to do it. Let's see. Owen asks, what tripod do you like for your 15 by 56 binos? Leupold makes a carbon fiber tripod that I've been running mine on. I like that. Let's see. Can you fit archery deer hunt in one state and rutting elk hunt in another? Oh yeah, easy. You just gotta work your schedule a little bit. I mean, and you could throw an antelope hunt in there along with it if you want. It's all about scheduling. I'm not good at a lot of things. I'm like below average at everything other than figuring out ways to go hunting. That's my strength. Let's see. Randy, what do you think about hunting elk and deer in archery season in multiple states? That might be in the same person who asked the question. I think it's great. Go do it. If you can get the time away from work and home and all your other obligations, go do it. I would go do it. What bino harness do I use? I've been using the FHF Gear Fish Hunt Fight harnesses for forever. So that's what I use. Let's see, do you use the same tripod for binoculars and spotting scope? Yep. So you'll see a lot of times in footage, I've got my Leupold Gold Ring spotter on a tripod. And you know how often you're going from your binos to your spotter, binos to your spotter. So what I do is if the spotter is normally this way, I turn it 90 degrees and I just lean my binos over the top of my spotter. And I just do that way, and I grid, come back, and it works really, really slick. So then if I need to spot something with the spotter that I've seen in my binos, I just quickly turn it and do it. So, and I know the next question a lot of people are going to be, well, what spotting scope do you use? I use my go-to when it's a combination of size, compactness, weight, and quality of glass. I'd say that I use my Leupold Gold Ring 60 millimeter 80% of the time. I have an 80 millimeter, I have a 50 millimeter, and I use those a lot less. It's because the hiking, backpacking, hunting, it's hard to beat that compactness of those Leupold spotters is really, really good. It works great. So, which handheld GPS do you use? You know, I used to use a Garmin Montana, but Michael and Marcus and everybody else, everybody in our crew here, I'm going to pull it up. If you don't have, oh, look at OnX, just, look at that. They sent me a story on their app. Did you get that, Michael? Well, we've been talking right here. They must have known that Randy was going to send them a, so anyhow. This is what I use for my handheld GPS more than anything. And the next question people are going to ask is, all right, how do you do it when you don't have service? I go like this, and I put it in airplane mode. And my GPS, every GPS on a smartphone still works in airplane mode. So then you're not burning your battery looking for service, right? And then people say, well, how do I connect if I don't have service? All right, you go in here and you hit the off grid, and you say, I want to create a map. So that's what I did. And so I have all these stored maps in here of all these maps I downloaded before I went there. So it's running off these stored maps that are stored on my phone in airplane mode using my GPS. Slick, slick, slick.
Pretty awesome.
What's that?
I said it's pretty awesome.
Michael's over there saying it's awesome. I would agree. Definitely agree. I don't know how Eric invented that. I remember the first time that I saw that gig, I'm like, that can't be. That can't be. And sure enough, it worked as good as advertised. So I've been using it ever since. Oh boy, lots and lots of them. Christian says, Randy, 20 years old and have Colorado hunting down. Where can I start building points for licenses I can use and when I'm older? We answered that earlier. I'd look to two of your neighbors. I'd look to Wyoming and I'd look to Arizona. Can I draw a 0-point unit in Colorado without using my current points? If you draw, I believe if you draw it as a second choice, as a leftover, I don't think it burns your points, if I remember right. So, but if you draw it as your first choice, you're going to burn your points. You got anything over there, Michael, that I'm missing out on? Oh, would you hunt mule deer in Idaho? You bet, Jack. You guys give me a tag, I'll be there. Michael and Marcus are applying for Idaho elk, deer, and antelope tags this year. I'm rolling the dice again. I'm convinced year number 15, my 15th application for moose in Idaho, I'm finally going to draw. I can at least be optimistic, Jack. I know what the odds are. I know what the likelihood is. Oh, well. Call me stupid. Oh, gosh. What else we got here? Oh, Wesley wants the GPS coordinates to Big Hank. Obviously, he watches our stuff if he knows who Big Hank is, right, Michael? So in my family, if you're fishing or hunting and you're looking for the big walleye or the big buck, you're looking for Big Hank. Just how we do it. And if I had the GPS coordinates to Big Hank, I'm probably not sharing them with you. I might sell them, but I'm not sharing them with you. No, I wouldn't sell them either. If you could get an over-the-counter tag for Utah, would you? I would if I lived there, but not if I was a non-resident. And you can get them if you live there. And if you're a non-resident, you can get them. But the cost, to me, for Utah, for their general over-the-counter hunts, is not worth the price based on all my friends who've done it and report to me what the quality of the experience is. I had a limited entry elk tag in Colorado, archery elk, and it was a good experience. Hardly anyone in the woods, hardly anyone walking in. It was a good experience. So, oh gosh, I think we got to come up with one more good one because we've been on for over an hour, Michael. How did that happen? How did we get in over an hour? So before we go, remember, Colorado's deadline is April 3rd. I wrote all these down before we turned on the phone here, or the mic. April 3rd, Colorado. Nevada, April 16th. Oregon, May 15th. Idaho, June 1st. Don't miss them, okay? They don't look you up in the phone book and say, oh, let's mail this tag to that person. You have to apply, okay? That's one of the basic requirements of getting a limited entry elk tag in the West. You have to apply. I don't know anyone who's received a tag that didn't apply. So don't miss the deadlines. Oh gosh. All right. In my jabbering, did you pick one up, Michael?
Yeah.
All right.
How early would you recommend scouting with boots on the ground? And
yep. We already
where you anticipate elk to be in late November?
Yep. So if you're hunting late November, when would you start scouting that area? How far in advance? Not very far in advance. Because think about elk. Late November is late season. Those elk, if you go there in August, September, even early October, they're going to be in either early season mode, pre-rut mode, or peak rut mode. And you're not going to find elk in the same spot they're going to be in late November. So if you can't, just take an extra day or two before your hunt and go scout 1, 2, or 3 days early before the hunt, because that information is going to be relevant and helpful for your hunt. The stuff you learn in October or early October, September, August, not going to be very relevant because the elk will have moved. They're going to be in a completely different pattern because they have completely different needs at that time of year. So I would say scout as close to your hunting dates as you possibly can when it comes for elk. So with that, we're going to be here again next week for part 11 of Hunt Elk Every Year. And we want to thank Bowtech, Leupold, Onyx, Tight Spot, Ripcord, Black Gold, Go Hunt, and Rocky Mountain Hunting Calls for making this work. And thank you for watching.